Berlin Board of Health. Meeting is being conducted via Zoom. Everything is being recorded. Anything you say will also be recorded, and that goes for anybody in the audience that wants to join us. Just would ask that they acknowledge their presence and tell us who they are and why they are here. And with that, we can begin the meeting.
All right, well, I can't hear anything.
Uh-oh.
We can hear you. I don't know what to do.
You can't hear us. You can't take notes very well.
Yeah, Donna, try get going. Oh, she just sent me a text. Hold on.
Does she have a volume control or something, Sue, maybe?
I don't know.
Earphones plugged in maybe, so it's not.
Okay.
See, I asked to unmute.
Pop-ups. All right.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you guys. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble booting this laptop up today
Okay.
too. So I don't know what's going on. So,
Let's get cracking.
All right, we can
okay.
get moving.
All right, sorry.
No
Don't know-
problem. No
don't know what's
problem.
going on.
First thing on the discussion, 36 Dudley Road. I believe Bill confirmed this for me, but this is just an ongoing situation. They've made some improvements and we will just continue to monitor.
Correct. We'll monitor the site. Quite a few vehicles have been removed, a lot of metal scrap. So vast improvement over the initial inspection. I think conservation's still working with the wetlands, and I think Rich is still working with the tree company.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll revisit, just monitor the site.
Yep. Okay. Next one would be 16 Bellevue Road.
Yeah, again, Massachusetts out of the loop. So it's really down to which direction the board wants to head. May want to wait for a new police chief, see what ideas he might have. But again, really up to the board, condemnation or housing court, or see that, see what the new police chief might think. I mean, that's a month away or less, I think.
I guess my feeling is that it would be prudent to wait for a new chief, because otherwise, if we started something and the chiefs change, it just could get messy. They may not be in agreement, not right or wrong, just things happen like that. So welcome other comments, but I would suggest we just sit on it for the time being.
Well, Paul, I've had this experience in housing court where, for example, Bridget had done an inspection but was unavailable for court. So I went to court in her place, and the judge wasn't that happy that I wasn't the person that produced the report. He said, make sure Bridget Braley is here next time. So if,
Oh, wow.
I think the new chief would almost have to recite, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that chief using Tom's citation might not look as solid in court as if, the new chief issues an order, let the time go by. If nothing gets done, then he's got that non-compliant issue completely from start to finish.
Okay, we dial it back to square one. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, we wouldn't have to, we could, but I think having maybe the new chief issue or an order, and again, see what happens, because again, he may start a new dialogue with the owner. I mean, who knows?
Right,
you know?
right. And as soon as you start involving legalities and courts, we need to make sure things, i's are dotted, t's are crossed, and the ducks are lined up, and
Correct.
a switch in direction on the police level would not be beneficial to us.
Yep.
All right, this one, I have more question marks than anything. Free range chickens on Pleasant Street.
Well, we had this situation on Oak Street and it was resolved. Free range chickens are great, but Massachusetts is what they call a fence in state, which means if you have livestock, including chickens, you have to have a fence that keeps them on your own property. And we've had multiple complaints from a person that lives next to someone with free range chickens, and they're in his yard, on his deck, in his garden. So, being patient, giving it time, talk to them, said things were great for a while, but they're back. Haven't heard from anyone lately. Helen Roach is aware of it. She does some drive-bys and stop-ins also. At some point, we can send a letter to the owner of the chickens. I've got a draft from Ira, who had this situation in Groton, because the chickens off property are a nuisance. I mean, they're doing their thing. They might be destroying property or leaving their deposits. So, just want you to be aware of it. And at
Okay.
some point, if we continue to get calls, I think we'd have to send a letter to the owner.
So they can free range, but only on their property, right?
Free range on their own property. You got it.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
Well, I haven't heard
I don't
anything.
think you can put those wireless dog collars on them either.
No, I think Helen said they have a
You
pretty good
have some-
size. They have a pretty good sized pen on site. So why they're out of that, who knows? But they need to remain
Right.
either in the pen or they need to fence the yard in.
Okay. 272 West Street.
I just carried that over, nothing new. I did get a call from Steve Sears, who I think met with the owner about doing an upgrade there, but I haven't heard anything since. So we'll kind of wait and see if we hear from the owner or an engineer on what the next steps will be. That's where they're doing a large addition and are looking at a
Major renovation, right?
Yep.
Okay.
doubling the size of the house on a cesspool that's 60 feet from their well. Doesn't sound like a great idea.
No. Okay. Berlin Auto Parts.
Again, a carrying over topic. Been out straight, haven't had a chance to call Vaughn, but will set up that
Okay.
site visit.
And they have one of those free range chickens that showed up on their doorstep. You see that?
Who did?
Berlin Auto Parts. They posted a picture today on Berlin Neighbors.
What do we get a cross reference on our
I think
agenda, huh?
Somebody dropped off a black and white rooster.
Wow.
Been hanging around there for 2 or 3 days.
No, not even getting any eggs out of it. Jesus.
Oh, don't tell me it's a rooster. We'll
Yeah.
get more noise complaints.
Oh, yeah.
You got an alarm clock though.
Yeah, for sure.
Add that to the foundation vibration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Highland Ridge proposed irrigation well.
Yeah, they may be proposing one or more irrigation wells. I got an application and a plan the other day from Mike Sullivan. But the well shown on a plan that doesn't show septic components, so I have to talk to the engineer about, putting it on the right plan so that we can make sure it meets offsets. But just a kind of a heads up that they are proposing maybe one or more irrigation wells, which when you're on a public water supply is wise. We have a situation in Bolton where irrigation was tied to the public water supply in a subdivision. They weren't supposed to, but they did. And we get no water situation sometimes multiple times throughout the summer. So that public water supply really needs to be dedicated for the inside domestic use. So irrigation wells are encouraged in situations like this.
I know relative to Highland Ridge, there is kind of a neighborhood drumbeat concern relative to what's going to happen to area potable wells for neighbors with the potential draw that Highland Ridge is going to put on just with their potable water. Now we're adding irrigation, but all this falls under DEP, does it not?
Well, the public water supply for potable use does. The irrigation wells actually remain private under the Board of Health's jurisdiction unless they exceed a very high threshold for withdrawal, which it won't be that high. So it would be local permit. And again, you know, I can talk to DEP, but their perspective is I think they'd rather see irrigation wells because again, they don't want that water being drawn off the potable source. And as far as abutting wells, it's a tough one because, you know, DEP obviously, you know, approves the public water supply for potable use. I don't know if they even take abutting wells into account. I don't know that they view that as a potential problem.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I know it has been, it's been an issue that has been raised at least with the planning board, if not, in fact, the Board of Selectmen and possibly building inspector.
Mhm.
So that's just a point of information for something that's kind of hanging out there.
Mhm. Well, it certainly can be discussed and you know, I always check with DEP on proposed irrigation wells just to make sure they're okay with their location and use. And I can also ask them about, you know, concerns of abutters.
Right, and you know, once again, we talk, what are the depths of all these wells and what aquifers are they tying into or veins in the ledge? So, I mean, they're all unknowns as we sit here, so.
Well, I know, you know, anyone with a private well that has a concern would be wise to have a flow test and quality test done, you know, to have a baseline. So, you know, you could show a before and after. It wouldn't necessarily indicate if things change after that well's online, but it's a starting point.
Right, it's something, yeah, okay. We're not at the witching hour for a 7:30 Pollard Road hearing continuance. We can move on to Title V inspection reports unless you have something else, Bill.
I got a couple quick heads ups that have
Sure.
come in. The beaver situation on Carr Road.
Oh,
is
yes.
temporarily solved. The person that was messing with the dam without permission, well, with or without permission, without proper permits, has stopped. And I was contacted by the owner of the property. See, the problem is the owner of the property where the dam exists is not the owner of the property where the flooding is occurring. So I did find, I think it was 08 or 09, I was out there and did issue a permit for, you know, trapping to be done in that area. And again, it involved a permit application from the landowner and a landowner consent form, you know, to allow the trapping to occur on an abutter's property. So it has been addressed in the past by trapping. I think a situation like this ultimately will be best dealt with through a water control device. So I gave the owner all this information and he's going to take it under advisement and get back to me with a permit application if he chooses to for either trapping and or a water control device. And if they go with a water control device, it would also involve Conservation Commission approval. Trapping alone is Board of Health, dam breaching and water control devices, Board of Health and Conservation Commission. So I haven't heard from the owner of the country club in a while. So I assume it sounds like the tampering of the dam has ceased and they're gonna decide whether or not they're gonna move forward with any action through permitting.
Okay, so as of right now, everybody's kind of informed of the situation
Yep.
and we're waiting for decisions by the appropriate parties.
Yep.
Okay,
And one other, Berlin's got its share of noise complaints. I don't know if you saw the email bouncing around
Yeah.
about the remote control planes. again, a very tough situation. I emailed Margaret, but actually got an answer from the police chief today. It's not somebody that lives in the subdivision that's flying the planes. They're being flown from some other remote location, potentially in Hudson. So pursuing that could get tricky.
Hmm.
Oh,
So
I
if you're
see.
bored, if you're bored on the weekend, take a ride down River Road and see if you see any remote control planes.
Okay.
But again, it's happening for about an hour. Chief said that I guess when the planes are coasting or flying straight, no problem. But when they're dive bombing, doing their tricks, they get loud. So it could be tricky, especially if it's the source is in a different town.
Right, right.
We had a real plane around for a couple of years, Paul. Remember that would do the loops and everything? He'd be over like Hudson and Gates Pond, all this whole area, but it's a real plane.
Yeah,
He'd do loops and stalls and
Yeah, on weekends, yep.
I
yeah.
remember that.
I kept saying he's gonna run out of gas one of these times.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the only two. Oh, actually, there's one more. Owner at 15 Larkin Road would like to propose, obviously it's an existing home with an existing well. He's looking at the potential of turning his existing potable well into a dual use geothermal open loop well, which is allowed by state guidelines, but comes with a lot of water testing and permitting. So just a heads up that proposal's going to be coming before you. And if you have any questions or concerns, certainly let me know. But again, this responsibility has been given to the local Board of Health, but I still have them adhere to the DEP guidelines because that's really all we have to go on.
He wants to turn a potable well into part of a geothermal system?
The state guidelines do allow what they call a dual use. So it's a potable well and it's also used as a open loop geothermal well.
Hmm.
Is it for warming or cooling, Billy, or both?
Well, both. I mean, the
Both.
heat pump
Both.
does both.
Sure. We've got a couple in town now, correct?
I think anything we have in town is closed loop, which is much simpler. It's a separate system. Once the boreholes are drilled,
Okay.
they're filled with the bentonite type material so that, you're just circulating
Right.
the glycol through the pipe in the ground. Temperature is kind of doing its job. But again, that involves drilling new wells. So it becomes, he feels cost prohibitive. Where
Right.
if he could use his existing well that's already in place, it would be more
Right.
financially attractive. And it is allowed, but again, it comes with extensive water quality testing. It might need DEP approval also. That I'm trying to look into. DEP gave closed loop systems to the local boards of health a while ago. I thought they retained jurisdiction over open loop, but that might have changed too. I pretty much sent the owner and the well driller to find that information out and get back to me.
Okay.
Sure.
That house on Crosby, are they moving ahead with geothermal, do you know, Bill? The house with the pond?
Which one?
The McGurty's the house that's going through extensive renovations and has the pond.
Oh, they've already got those in. Yep.
They do,
Yep.
okay.
They've got a series of due to the size of the house, I think they have 4 or 5 boreholes, and they dot right across the front lawn, and the potables also, out front, but you won't see the well heads for the geothermal, once they're connected, everything's below grade. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's I don't know how that house is coming along. I'm sure I don't know how close they are to finishing. I've still got a pump and alarm test to do, but everything else was good. And I'm pretty sure those geothermal boreholes are already in place because we did permit them. And those again were closed loop. Closed loop are pretty straightforward.
Right.
Billy, one question. The 2 Title V's on Gates Pond Road,
Yep.
are those new houses? Because they weren't on the street listing, those numbers.
Well, 244 is newer. I mean, that's Craig Wampel's house. That he built a few years back right near River Road. In 207.
Not a big deal, Bill. They knew where I
No,
thought.
207 Gates Pond, I think, is the isn't that ranch that's on on the opposite side of the
Oh,
road.
yeah, Jenkins or something over it. Yeah, okay, it is. I know which one. Yep,
Yeah, I think that's it.
okay.
I'm just looking at previous owners' names.
Texas.
Poplis was one name, and the current owner is Laporte. But I don't know
Oh,
about
yeah,
a previous
Cliff-
owner.
Yeah, that's who it
Is
is.
that Cliff Laporte?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
Who
and both
apparently
of those
lives-
passed, Bill?
they passed, but we didn't get the submittal fee on 244. So I've drafted a letter that I'll have typed up and Paul will let you know when it's in the office for signature.
Okay,
Yeah, but they both passed. There's no issues with the reports, just that the 244 came in without the appropriate fee.
Okay,
I could find a 207. Huh.
so Paul, you'll have to stop in before you leave. And sign that letter. for-
Well, I'll let Paul know when it's ready. Where and when you headed.
I'm heading out a week from today,
Yeah, I don't know if I'll have it drafted by then. Things have been pretty
going
busy.
to Florida.
Sounds good. How long?
About a week, 6
Okay.
days.
Yeah, I'll text you.
Nice.
I'll forget you're gone and text you and you'll tell me when you're coming back.
That's all right.
Oh, come up with a reason for me not to go and I'm there.
Come on now.
Well, 3 states that I'm not interested in traveling to: Florida, Texas, and South Dakota. And I'm sure there are others, but those 3 are tops of my list.
Is that based on pandemic numbers or even before the pandemic?
Some combination of that and just absurd politics.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, you have permits. What's Wilson Road lots 1 through 4?
I did not look at those. That would be the Capes of Berlin. Those would be the 4, the lots off of South Street. The first 4 lots have been submitted for review.
That was the old Wilson property. That's why they probably called it that.
Maybe. Yeah,
Off
so
of-
that'll bump to next meeting.
Off of South Street?
Yeah, Mark Rhodes project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's doing individual wells and septic systems for how many?
Well, the
houses?
the redesign, don't hold me to a number. I think it's 11 or 12 lots, I think.
Okay,
So they'll be individually owned, but more or less like a mini subdivision. Wells and septics on each lot with a fast system and active treatment system to allow the number of bedrooms he wants on the lot size that he's proposing.
and planning board was all right with this?
Oh, I think he's been through that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it modified the comprehensive permit. I think it required refiling with the state, all that I think is behind him or almost done.
Wow.
But feel free to ask questions in town if you're unsure, but I think he's been
Yeah,
through that
yeah.
already.
Okay.
okay. So
I
all we
see-
have left is Ball Hill and the variance hearing.
Yeah, we got 7:30 for Pollard Road and
Road.
7:45 for Ball Hill. Yeah.
4 minutes. What was it? They okayed the Catholic Church. I see Bridget gave the okay on that. The food permit there, Billy, she emailed to go to Mary on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it in detail, but I know Bridget was working with the church there. Yep.
Yeah, well, we got some emails this afternoon that said it's a go for the.
Okay.
as
Haven't
far
seen
as-
those yet.
As far as she was concerned, but
Yep.
Yeah.
What's this, a one-time event? Like
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a-
one day event.
yearly thing, like,
Yeah, I got a call from the church about the form they had to fill out, which was the first time in 68 years of fall fairs, and they were wondering what was up. And I said, well, it's nothing the church did or didn't do. It's just time moves on, and with COVID and everything else, there's just a lot more details to pay attention to these days. So the woman was concerned, the representative for St. Joe's was concerned because it's only 2 weeks away. So there are questions that I really couldn't answer. So I got hold of Bridget and asked Bridget to get hold of Lee Reardon and to make sure that things could move forward. And Bridget said she would, and obviously or evidently she did. So hopefully all ends well. Because the chicken barbecue is a big part of their
Right.
fall festival.
That's what we used to call it, was the chicken barbecue. Then we switched it to the fall fair,
Yeah.
and they cook on coals, so there's no propane. But it's usually pretty good too.
What do we got? 1 minute?
1 minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have a Michael Norris who's joined us.
Come on.
There's Neil.
We got Neil and Liz.
We're just gonna unmute.
I guess we should try to find out if the other person is here for this hearing.
Right.
Well, I have Liz Dupree and Neil Fossil.
Yep. And Michael Norris.
And a Michael Norris. Okay,
He looks familiar. I believe he's here for 19 Pollard, but I'm not sure.
How's it going, Neil?
Good. How are you, Bob?
I'm okay.
Good evening to all of you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, Neil.
We
How you
lost
doing?
Liz. Oh, there she is.
yeah, and hopefully Liz can,
Yeah, there she is.
Here
Can
I
you hear
am.
us, Liz?
can you hear us, Liz?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Very
All right.
good.
It is now 7:30. You all may proceed.
Okay, Bill, would you just summarize what this hearing was about, please?
Sure, we can get into how, but what happened is
What
the
happened?
tank, the tank was installed at an elevation that did not allow gravity access to the reserve area, which is what the regulation says. If your primary area is accessed by gravity, your reserve area must be accessed by gravity also. So in this situation on the as-built, I realized the tank had been installed lower than proposed on the revised plan, and that resulted in the reserve area not being accessible by gravity. So that's what brought us to this hearing 2 weeks ago,
Okay,
to regulation, I think it's N3 or 3N, I guess.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but in order to correct this to the original permit, it would involve digging up a at least semi-established yard and lawn with all the accoutrements that a family puts in their backyard. And although that would be ideal, it seems to me it would be rather punitive to do that in this particular case. There was a fumble of information, which, I think was a one-off and no intent there. I personally, I've thought about this, and it doesn't make sense to me to create any havoc with this existing situation. The system is in, as it's supposed to be and working. And I don't have a problem with granting the variance to allow this to continue. Any other comments?
I don't have a problem with it, but this message goes to Neil. This is your one and only pass. The next time you come in front of the board, it better be letter perfect.
Well, this wasn't my doing, because if I would have got the variance, if I would have got the plan that was supposed to be given to me, this would have never happened.
Well, we
You
had
know,
nothing to do
I
with
didn't,
that.
it wasn't my intent to do any malice to anybody.
No, we understand that.
I'm not that type of guy. I've been doing this for way too long, okay?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
we've
Make
been
sure that
working
you're-
with you for a number of months here. We don't feel that there was any intent. And
No, and I don't want you to think there was, and I don't want it
No,
that, Paul. Yeah,
we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
all right, I'm good too. Yeah,
Paul will take me out back later and slap me around.
Well,
No,
I think there's just a lesson to be learned here for everybody. That's all. And I
Yeah.
think with that, we can move on, you know.
right, exactly, yeah,
I don't see, you know, no real harm, no real foul.
right.
Who would
I-
like to make
Do I hear a
the,
motion?
Yeah, I have no problem with it. We're just gonna, you'll revise the plan, right, Neil?
Yes, I will. Yeah, Liz will do that for me and give it to Bill. Yes.
All right,
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the variance requested.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, and we'll do a roll call. Sue
Yep.
Regera,
Aye.
Bob Wheeler,
All right,
Paul McKelk, aye as well. So the variance passes and we can all move on from this, please.
Did Michael
have a
have a
question?
question on this hearing?
Mr. Norris, did you have a question?
No, I'm Neil's attorney and I was just observing it and I appreciate the board's help and consideration in this matter.
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't put it through you.
Very good.
I want to thank you all. Yeah.
Have a good night.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
You
too.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Good
Aye.
night. Bye.
Good night.
Now we have 10 more minutes.
No, we should have eaten up some more time. I ran out of words.
Well, it won't be like last week, 2 weeks ago, I hope.
No.
Jeez.
In reality too, any of these newer systems that are in fill, you know, down the road, the reality is those existing systems are probably going to be removed and replaced in where they stand, because
Right.
otherwise you'd
Right.
be building that mound yet again in your yard. So once that grading's set, you're going to go in there, you're going to scoop out the contaminated trenches and soil and just put clean sand back in and put it right back in the same spot. So,
Yeah.
you know, the code requires a reserve area be shown. Your local regs require it to be accessible by gravity if the primary is. But in reality, if and when that system fails, it's really probably going to be replaced right in the same spot.
Right. That's pretty good gravel up there too, isn't it, Bill?
It is,
Isn't it?
yep.
Pretty-
Yep.
If I'm still here when that happens with this system, shoot me.
No, that's when you move to Florida.
Not there, honey.
Yeah.
Not there.
Unless he's gonna be buried there, I don't think that.
You could put me in Disneyland and I wouldn't move. Well, maybe the castle. I don't know. But, you know,
There you go.
I don't like humidity.
Got anything coming down the road, Billy, besides the capes or?
Well, that 316 Randall Road that we looked at last meeting that had the proposed addition.
Oh, yeah,
We call that with Evan.
Yes.
After the meeting, he called me. He didn't like the design that he ended up doing, and he's actually I hadn't even reviewed the plan yet, so I didn't. And he's resubmitted it, redesigned as a Presby bed, so it's in the same spot.
Yeah.
And he's going to incorporate, you know, the changes we talked about in the meeting with the force main location. But so that permit will probably be next meeting along with the South Street lots.
Yeah. And the
Well,
Presby will be more nicer out there anyway, wouldn't it?
I
Less
haven't
of a-
looked at the plan yet, so footprint wise, he's holding the edge of anything that had a variance request, like the property line. So
Yeah.
that won't be reduced. If anything, if the system gets bigger, it's gonna be on the property that it's serving. So I don't think the variances that you approved are gonna change. But obviously,
Yeah.
if they did, that would be discussed also.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was gonna do infiltration chambers.
They had
wasn't he?
infiltrated chambers and we
Yeah.
discussed that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Right.
I forget, the conversation was a while ago. I forget his reasoning, but he preferred to go with a Presby bed there.
Bill,
Yep.
has there been any movement on the system we approved that's it's gonna be the first one in town, the flat mat, I'm gonna call it? I don't.
Well,
know
I
the-
did issue the well permit for that lot, but I had given the engineer quite a few review comments, so he's working on a revised plan, so hasn't even gotten to an actual, the plan and the variances were approved, but again, I'm waiting for a revised plan. So once that's in place, I'll let you know. But oftentimes this time of year, they're gonna put the well in, get their building permit, probably do quite a bit on the dwelling, and the system probably won't go in for a while, but I do have a note in the file to let you know
Okay,
when it's occurring, so you can take a look.
yeah, I'm very interested in that.
On Crosby Road, Billy, on the old Bureau Guide property, did we do anything on that yet? Or
Which one's that?
the one across from the big one that's been doing
No,
over the long?
We,
driveway in?
again, there were issues with Title V inspections on both dwellings, but
Right.
we issued a letter about what needed to be done. I spoke to an installer, but we needed to be done. But the owners, I don't know if it's been sold. They kind of backed off because it sounded like the potential buyer, they didn't know what their plans were for the property, so they didn't want to do work on the existing systems if they weren't going to be used or
Right.
changed in any way. So I haven't heard a thing actually.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering how that went.
But Sue,
Yeah,
with that, the file search for 343 Old Central and 139 Coolidge.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the files pulled at Town Hall, which I appreciate. 139 Coolidge was also known as 265 Central Street back a ways.
Yeah.
So I pulled that additional material out. So if you see a giant pile where yours was, that's that additional material. Because there was a leak there and there's all kinds of DEP information in there. So I spoke to the person that requested normally if someone asks for a file search, we just copy the file and that's that. This is a stack 2 feet high. So I said, make a time. I said, I can either bring Berlin's information to Air so you can check all files at one location, or bring Air's information to Berlin. And I'm waiting to hear back from him because there's no way it would be feasible to copy everything. And I'm not sure he needs everything. So
yeah, I mean, and we don't have the equipment to copy.
full-size plans, we send them out at $6 a
Drawing.
sheet. So yeah, that would get costly in a hurry. So, it's really up to them to review the file and tell us what they need.
Right. Well,
But I
that
wanted to
was-
respond within the 10 days, just so, everyone knew that we're
Yep.
doing what we need to do.
Well, that was merged, Lattimer's merged, or that was sold and they merged it with the Exxon property.
As
correct,
far as I
Billy?
know, correct. Yep,
Yeah.
same owner.
Yeah.
But I think this might be the engineer for that parcel that sits on Gates Pond undeveloped.
Yeah,
Between the
oh,
gas
across
station.
Across the street, yes, where they.
Well, no, this is abuts there's a parcel across from Shiro, if you will,
Yes, Dennis Murphy's, right.
that's undeveloped, correct? So I think
Yes.
someone bought that and is looking to do something with it. So I think they're curious about what's happening on the abutting lots as
Oh,
far as
yeah.
location of septic and well.
The old Orman farm or Orman house, yeah. Yeah, yeah, they knocked the house down there, but yeah.
Oh, there was a house
Dennis
there?
Yeah, there was a house and a barn there, an old house and barn there.
Really?
Yeah. It was Ormans, I think the last name was, last people that lived there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was my great grandfather's sister at one point,
Oh, really? huh?
Darby. Yeah, Darby Stone. my great grandfather, Stone built the Shiro.
Really? Yeah?
Yeah, it was a convalescent home for years.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah.
It does. So I wonder what, I'll have to talk to the assessors. I wonder what the street number was for the old house and barn, because if somebody developed that property, we'd have to know where the old septic and well were.
Right. Well, it was Orman was the name. The last people to live there was
Orman?
Orman, but yeah.
So, it's 7:43 and there is no one in the audience.
It won't stop us from having the hearing. I mean, but we can certainly talk about it.
We need to give it the 2 more minutes just to be official.
Yep, I'm good.
Yeah, I think Orman's lived there. I don't know the first name. There was the whole family lived there for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dennis Murphy in Hudson may know it. The name.
Oh, yeah.
Because he might have had that torn down, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness.
Because he came into one of our meetings. Remember when they were dealing with the Exxon station to see what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
When with the whatever it is now, the Shell, it's whatever it is, Noria, when they were doing that system, he came in, sat in on a meeting.
Yes.
You remember? Yeah.
Yep. I guess it's golf now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I can't keep up. I always knew it as Exxon, then it switched, and I think it's Gulf now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one up towards Berlin is a mobile, I think.
Yes.
Actually, it says Noria, so I don't know if Noria is Gulf or it's.
Noria is a large energy company in Worcester, because they run the Shell, the Riverbridge Shell, I think, also.
Yes,
Okay.
we do. Yep.
Yep.
Well, does Concord Oil still? Well, Noria must own it instead of Concord Oil, then, huh?
I thought, well, Concord, I thought owned the mobile on Route 62 on the
Oh, maybe.
corner of Taylor.
Yeah, the old Chevron. right?
Actually, I send, I'm trying to think, I always get their information for the tobacco permit.
Right. Yeah.
I forget if it was, I think it's someone other than Concord Oil now, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can remember the Exxon went in during the fuel crisis.
Yep.
And they were one of the only ones that didn't have a quota, so Dick Marshall could sell as much fuel as he wanted because it was a new station.
Oh,
It was a
yeah.
place he made some money. That was Ricky Marshall's father.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the electrician, but his father started that station and he had no quota and he was making money hand over fist because for some reason he could keep pumping where everybody
Yeah.
else had quota.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me, gentlemen, it's 7:45.
Okay. This is a continuance of hearing for 61 Ball Hill Road. There is a proposed barn.
Do we have that plan to pull up, Sue? I don't know if the board wants to see that again.
No, we don't want to see that.
I was okay with the plan. Were you, Billy? Or,
Well, again, I think if we look at our piece of it, it's fairly straightforward. There's a
right.
barn proposed at a lower elevation than the pool house. So the proposal is to put an ejector pump in the barn and then run a force main, which will tie into the gravity building sewer that's going to connect the pool house to the existing septic tank, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So the total run, between the barn and the pool house is greater than 100, and then the pool house to the existing tank is about 95 with a clean out. That's gravity. But the run from the barn to the pool house, so if you add those two together, you're obviously well over 100.
Right. Did he tell you what kind of pump did you or did
Yeah,
you
it's
recommend?
I think they spec'd a Myers. I got it right here. Yeah, it's on the plan. It's a
I think you asked them anyway. But yeah.
they're spec'ing a Myers SRM4.
Okay.
0.4 horsepower, ejector pump, handles solids, And if you're interested in the run of that force main, it is it's about 200 feet.
Yep.
So the barn will pump 200 feet to the pool house building sewer, which then will go gravity to the existing tank, about a 95-foot run.
Okay, they don't need another tank in there anywhere, huh, Billy?
Nope.
No.
Nope, this pump is similar to if someone did a basement bathroom, it's just gonna pump. It's a
Okay.
solids handling pump, and it'll
Yep.
pump a very small size dose. And then it'll hit that gravity line and travel that 95 feet. I'm sorry, it's actually tying to the building sewer between the house and the tank, not to the tank itself.
Right, yeah. Between the
there were-
house and the tank though, right, Billy?
Absolutely, yep.
Yes, okay.
So the issue that came up during the hearing was brought up by a neighbor concerning a covenant that all the property owners are signed on to or engaged to. The Board of Health, as I've spoken with Mr. Duggan, who brought that up, and I also had a brief conversation with Richard Hanks, a building inspector. The covenant is a legal matter requiring lawyers, and it's between the property owners in this, I'll call it development. Our concern is the Board of Health regs. They're looking for sewer line length variance. Everything is on the appropriate property. And in conversations with Bill, and please confirm this, Bill, there are no real issues with what the homeowner of 61 Ball Hill is proposing.
Correct, you're right, with our state and local codes, no. And I spoke to Richard and had a similar conversation. He didn't feel it was the town's responsibility to enforce something in a deed or in a homeowners association agreement. That would really be between the involved parties. So,
Okay.
that would play out differently, not with our, it's not in our jurisdiction.
I
Yep.
guess what I would do is I would move that we grant this variance with the contingency that the other town boards who may be involved sign off on this. As far as the Board of Health concerned, it's acceptable, but a covenant is beyond our jurisdiction. And I'm not going to pretend that we can overpower or override the covenant. That needs to be left to lawyers, and other boards need to weigh in on this. And as such, we need to communicate to the other boards as well as the owner that, yes, we will grant this variance, but the contingency is that what he proposes falls under the approval of the covenant that they are involved in.
If you could satisfy them, it's fine, as far as I'm concerned.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the requested variance with the contingencies that all other interested boards weigh in.
And that the covenant is, I don't know, I want to say this, the covenant, that the covenant is legally addressed.
Okay. I would second that.
All in favor, Sue,
Aye.
Bobby,
All right,
Paul, I as well.
Sounds like a plan.
we're not here to make an ultimate decision on the legalities. We're just here to make a decision on the septic proposal.
Correct.
Okay. Any other issues? Anywhere? Anybody?
Anybody in the audience, Sue? or-
No.
Donna,
Yeah.
can we submit or provide that phraseology? Can we email it to building inspector, planning board? Who else?
I mean, selectmen aren't directly involved in this type of issue, but would they get copied as kind of a concerned party perhaps?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I'd rather, I don't want to make work, but I think we ought to broadcast this across the board.
Yep.
Just
And-
to do our demonstrate our due diligence.
Yeah, normally, normally when I draft a letter for a variance approval, it goes to the person requesting it, who in this case
Right,
is the designer, the engineer, and then CC homeowner. So in this case, it'll be homeowner, but also building inspector, planning board, selectmen.
Okay, that'll be.
I don't know, maybe even, I don't know, would ZBA wouldn't really have anything to do with this, or we could, doesn't really matter who we copy.
I, with your letter, Bill, I'd copy them all, please.
Okay,
and
And
like you
just
say,
Donna, make sure it's in the minutes, that's all.
Yeah.
Richard is an important one because he would be the one that would sign a building permit.
well,
correct?
that's very true, Bob. Once everyone else has signed off on Viewpoint, he is the final one to issue the building permit. So
Yeah.
obviously, if he saw there were issues, he would deal with them at that point. But again,
Correct,
it may not even, if the structures meet building code, that deed information, again, might be, again, out of his jurisdiction. He didn't feel like it was necessarily his responsibility to enforce that.
Yeah. he-
Correct.
He
Okay.
came out
Yeah.
and said that he does not do covenants.
Smart.
well,
Lawyers do covenants.
Yeah.
Boards do not.
Yep.
does that have to go to town council, Paul, or no?
No,
No.
I
Send it
think
to the selectmen and,
Yeah.
Yes. let
if
them
they want to
do
get it to legal, they could do that, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Maybe Margaret, I guess we'll add Margaret on there,
Yeah,
right?
We
Basically-
can't automatically send anything to town council because
No,
it incurs
right.
expense and we need to get
That's-
approval.
I agree, Paul. That was bad. It'll get to him if it has to.
That's right. That's right. Gravity flows downhill.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Sue,
Aye.
Bobby,
I,
Paul, aye. Donna, thank you. Bill, thank you.
All right, good night.
Anybody, any last comments? I think we're done.
have a good time in Florida. If you need anything, Paul, call.
Yeah,
Yeah, Paul,
Thank you.
chances are I'll catch you when you're back with those letters, if I
All right,
have some
I'll-
office time.
I'm around through this coming Monday, so.
Okay,
whatever.
I'll see how it goes at the office.
All right, good enough.
And
Thanks,
Donna?
everybody.
Yeah,
I'll talk to Margaret tomorrow to find out what we have to do to rehire you.
Yes.
It's nice to be retired for a while, huh?
well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, hopefully, well, she knows about it. I emailed her and she said she'll take care of it or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
that's good.
yeah. Yep.
Thank you all.
All right.
Okay.
Talk to you
Good
on
night.
Friday. Good
All
night,
right.
everyone.
Good night.